Hey everybody, it's Bridgette. So this is kind of a spontaneous thing. Here's the deal. I was listening to something that was talking about school in the fall of 2020. Not colleges, but elementary school, middle school, and high school. Now that's a subject that's very near and dear to my heart. I'm going to adjust this camera a little bit here. And I kind of got immediately stressed about it. I'm a parent, yes, and I got 4 kids. One is in a college setting. One is moving from an elementary to a middle school, and the other 2 are in high school. So, oh my God, I'm going to have another senior this year. Oh, okay, that's not why I was freaking out. So here's the deal. The reason why we're looking at these 2 different cards is because I asked the question. I said, well, I'm just going to do cards for it for the fall 2020 for school, if my kids will go back to school. And it's not if they will, because that's a yes or no. So you ask descriptive questions. You ask questions that will give you information about the energy around the circumstances or situations that you're dealing with. You don't ask yes or no questions. If you're going to do that, you can use other things to do that with. And besides, you don't just want that because you're not just looking for somebody to tell you what to do, I hope. I hope you are looking for intel that gives you empowerment, inspiration, and courage to make choices that are healthy for you and your family. All right, so this card right here is from Isis Oracle deck, and that's the first one that I just grabbed because I just felt that powerful divine feminine, divine mother connection. So I got this one. The second card I got was by the deck that was right next to me. And when I asked this question, and that was at my computer, it just came to me. And the Starseed Oracle, so this is the Rebecca Campbell one. I'll put links to these in the description below. These are kind of interesting together, aren't they? Very interesting. These are probably the most unique decks that I have for you guys, and the most off the beaten path, let's say that, and the road less traveled. All right, so divine destiny, path of the divine warrior. This feels like I'm an advocate for my kids and what's best for them. This feels like mamas and papas. You guys are going to have to make some choices about your children and what's best for them, because some places may forge ahead with some kind of a model. Maybe it's a hybrid model of education, which is a combination of online learning and in-class combination learning, or maybe it's an in-class scenario, but you have a kid that's super hypersensitive, or a kid that usually gets some kind of services at school that is going to really have a hard time more than, let's be honest, everybody's having a hard time, everybody. And by the way, I can say this, you guys, because I've worked in special education. Some of you don't probably know that. I actually started to work toward a master's degree, a graduate degree in early childhood special education a few years back. And I subsequently stopped pursuing that degree once I realized that I would basically make the same amount of income that I'm making now in my business. And yet it was extremely taxing on the physical body. So I actually did have an injury in my rotator cuff. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But so I'm not working in the schools anymore at this point, and I've been focusing on my work as a coach. So, and a psychic coach, psychic plus life coach. But anyway, you guys, I'm like talking super fast because I'm feeling this just rush of energy. You know, if you work with me, I start to talk really fast when everything's coming through. And you're going to hear stuff in the background because my husband just left to go pick up dinner because it's like 90 some degrees outside, and I am not turning the oven on tonight. So this tells me mamas and dads, you guys, the parental energies of divine energy of the parents, specifically, this feels like divine feminine for me. Like I am going to protect my kid no matter what kind of energy. And this means that, excuse me, going back to school like normal, forget about it. It's going to look way different, and it might be, especially for the younger kids, even scarier than what you anticipate. Like, I don't even know how to describe this. Now, I know kids are resilient, but they're resilient because they adapt. They're not actually resilient. They're actually adaptive. And I learned that in a course I've been taking the last couple of months online about trauma and trauma-informed care and what that means for mental health and counseling and all that. And one of the principles that they spoke about was that kids are not really resilient. Most of the time I shouldn't say not resilient, but in many, many cases, the resiliency you're thinking that this is resiliency, it's just that they've adapted. They've been able to survive by adapting and adjusting to the circumstances around them, which can create in the future trauma. Challenges with attachment and healthy detachment and all that. It's just really especially for these younger kiddos. I mean, if they can't be hugging their teacher and sitting in their teacher's lap or getting their back rubbed while they're taking their nap, I mean, especially early childhood, it just does not feel right. And my guess is a lot of those folks that work in those settings aren't going to be following those rules anyway, because you can't, when a kid is crying, not comfort them by holding them and saying, no, don't touch me. Stand back 6 feet. It's not going to work. So obviously I'm fired up about this. Hello, solar plexus, or I'm sorry, sacral. Oh, when I get so fired up, I get so... Sacral chakra, you guys. If you can get through this video with me, amen to you, man. I'm telling you. All right, so I told you, I'm really fired up about it. I feel the energy. So the second card I got was the void. Stop. Embrace winter. Great cosmic womb. This tells me that we don't really know what's going to happen, do we? And like my team is telling me, Bridgette, because Isis is one of my guides. She's a goddess, ancient Egyptian goddess, Isis. She is telling me, Bridgette, not everybody feels everything as deeply as you do. Not everybody is an empath. True, most of my clients are empaths, sensitive people, feel others' energy is what that means. And if you haven't been up to this point, you sure are turning that little dial on now, aren't you? You flipped that switch and now all of a sudden you're feeling everything, aren't you now? It's time for a session. Probably. But this almost tells me, yes, parents are going to have to make choices. This is individual choice, personal choices. The path of the divine warrior is being an advocate for your child. And even if school or the health people say it's okay to go back, and you know in your heart that that's going to be a traumatic experience for your child or for you, it's not worth it. We don't need any more trauma. So then what do? Then you're going to have to make choices. However, the choices, the options that are open to you are going to be unknown, because maybe the school will offer online learning. Well, if it was anything like our online learning this spring, let me tell you, it was awful quality content. I'm sure the teachers did the best they could, but I've worked in schools. I understand. I actually did some curriculum stuff for my graduate studies, and I understand that you can't just take that and all of a sudden magically make it an online effective lesson. There's a difference between teachers that can teach online and teachers that can't or aren't trained to do that. It's not fair to expect those folks to do that. So the schools have to harness their resources and take teachers that can really do that and engage the students and keep things organized, upbeat, so that the kids can stay focused. Those are the teachers that should be doing all of the material for all of the English classes and all of the science classes and all of the social studies, that kind of a thing. Instead of being one teacher that teaches everything, or multiple teachers that teach things, it should be one teacher that teaches that subject that's really awesome at it, or maybe a couple, like a team of them working on it, but one person delivers it, that kind of a thing. So maybe they should have auditions, you guys. So the void, this is not bad. This is not scary. This just means, I know it looks scary, but you know what it kind of looks like through the camera here? Because I'm holding it by the camera and I'm standing above the camera, basically shouting at you, but this isn't, I'm passionate about this school in the fall 2020 thing. This looks like what you would look at as an ultrasound picture, doesn't it? Look at that. There's a little baby right there, right? It kind of looks like that. Doesn't it look like an ultrasound picture? Kind of. Oh my gosh, that's really powerful. The void, stop, embrace winter, great cosmic womb. In the winter time, everything slows down. So there will definitely be a slower pace. And what they're trying to tell me too is cool your jets, Bridgette. Don't get too stressed out about this. Just do some research, have some ideas in mind, some options for what you might want to do, especially for my youngest, because there's no way with what I've been seeing, what I just watched about kids going back to school, there's no way that I'm sending my kid into an environment that looks like that, to teach him not to touch other people and stay far away from them, like friends, you know, when they are joking and, you know, kind of, you know, or if somebody's crying and they want to reach out and touch them on the arm or hug them or whatever, that's just not cool when you can't do that. I mean, it's just, how do you teach kids not to be social? We don't want that. I mean, there has to be some kind of balance. So, and I know the schools are really in a tough spot. I'm not blaming the schools, but I'm just like, no, this is not going to work like that. We have to be totally creative. And in fact, the schools probably need a couple of extra months to actually do something that's fantastic and phenomenal. And if they're smart, they can garner their resources and it will actually cost them less money than more. So let's ask this about timeline. When can we know about this? When school is going to go? They just told me 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. When school is going to go. When can we know what school is going to look like? Oh my gosh, I just had this. I just got this card earlier today. This is from the Denise Lynn Sacred Traveler Oracle deck. Cleansing waters. This is about, vibrant life force. This is about healing our, not just our fears, but this is about amplifying our immune system. So if there's a way to test, or if there's other things that come through to make sure people are healthy when they go into an environment, that's going to be key. Every single day, make sure they're healthy. And if we can do that, then our environments within the classrooms can be much more safe and healthy, right? Purification activates vibrant life force. So when can we know? It almost, you guys, I don't want to say this. I don't even want to say this. One interpretation of this card, you know it's coming. One interpretation of this card could mean you go back to school when there is some kind of a titer test, or a test that you can tell if people have antibodies to the virus, or at the very bare minimums, doing health screens when they walk in. If they have a temperature, they're sent home, that kind of a thing. But then what are you going to do with all the kids that have a temperature when they get off the bus? And then how do they get to school on the bus? And I mean, there's a whole bunch of questions, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. There has to be more cleansing, clearing that has to occur before. We have to be more clear about, we have to know more about the virus. We have to understand more about how to stay healthy, what's going to combat it, what's going to help to address it when people get it, because that's where we need to focus. And that's what this card is telling me. So when that happens, yeah, good luck. Then you can go back to school. So one more card I'd like to do, Sacred Destiny here, Oracle. Denise Lynn once again. This one's really grounding. Okay, let's get Bridgette's energy a little more grounded here. I'm actually going to split this card, the deck in half. There's 2 cards here. Let's take these 2, both of these 2. So what else can we know about this topic, about school starting for elementary, high school, and middle school for the fall of 2020? What else can we know about this topic? This is the number 1. This is number 2. Feel for which one feels right to you, the best for you. This one actually looks brighter to me when I'm holding it in the camera, but this one feels good. So they both feel like good, but I'm going to go with this one for my family. Oh my gosh, I got this card the other day too, Opportunity. This card is about mysticism and the unknown. So what else can I know? It's not determined. It literally has not been determined. We cannot predict this because it has not been defined or determined. So there are different seasons. This is telling me that there's at least one more cycle. Well, let's see. So moon cycles. So this is not a full moon and not a new moon. So it's in between those 2. So this is not a normal cycle in the time of our life, but there's opportunity here to create an environment that can be safe for the children, healthy for the children, and supportive for their minds. It's not just their minds, it's also their mental health. So we can't put them into an environment that's so sterile that they have no social skills. We can't say send them to school so they can be social when we tell them you can't be social. Doesn't make sense. So there is mystery, there is unknown. But in here there is an opportunity. This is a change in the educational system that we know has been coming, that I've talked about many, many times in my private sessions with people. Now here's number 2, if this one was yours, for your family, regarding 2020 start of school for elementary, middle school, high school kids. Okay, I'm not talking about colleges. I'm talking about the kids in the K through 12. Success. Success. You guys, these are 3 of the cards I just got in a recent session that I did, a recent card reading. These are 3 of the cards that I got in a July card reading that I was working on. And oh my gosh, I mean, and I mixed them up. It's not like I pulled from the middle of the deck, like you saw that, right? I pulled from the middle of the deck, you guys saw that. So it's not like they were on the very top or anything like that, right? Oh my gosh. This is crazy. This is another nod to divine feminine. This is the goddess Bas, Egyptian goddess Isis. This is about being successful, and that success looks different to all of us. Look at the rainforest, the beautiful rainforests. Yeah, this is gorgeous, lush land. This is prosperity and abundance. And that's exactly what we want for education and for the experience of it, learning, not just for the mind, but for the heart and the soul and the body, all four aspects of who we are. This educational challenge is the same challenge you and I have every single day of our lives, managing and balancing our alignment, body, mind, heart, and soul, body, mind, heart, and soul, body, mind, heart, and soul. Let's grab a rock out of here. I'm feeling a blue rock, and here's a rock that comes through. Miracle. I look at them upside down, by the way, you guys. I have a big bowl of word rocks and they're upside down. Miracle. This is what we should be requesting, huh? A miracle. We've wanted change in the educational system for so long, and now here it is coming. This tells me to have faith. This beautiful blue rock. It's about visioning the future. When we think about the future, when we think about school for the kids, focus on the highest vision, the greatest good. And that is that. This is Bridgette with the Fairy Grasshopper channel. Thanks so much for watching this crazy intense card reading for you today. Go ahead and write in the comments below kind of what your feelings are on this topic, and share with me what you see in the card deck as well.